Hi guys, this is Sagar from Backlog. I think we should get started. The first session will be by Abhishek Kedia, who's a third year, and like his for the first session will be a blockchain-enabled airline booking system, and he actually submitted this particular project to one or two hackathons. So I'll let like Abhishek carry on from here.
Hi guys, I hope I am audible. So before we start with my airline system, I will show you some basics about Swarm, which is the main technology which I use in my product. So just a second, I'll share my screen. Okay. So what is Swarm? Swarm is a distributed storage by Ethereum. So what is distributed storage? Before that, let's have a look about centralized storages. So what are those? We have a single point of storage, and these are all the nodes which are connected to it. So whenever any node needs to access data, it requests the centralized server, and his request is resolved. So this is how centralized storages work. The problem with this is it has single point of failure, and the latency is very high. Suppose let's take an example of Tinder. So let's suppose that server is kept in Australia, and you are looking for persons in India. Just imagine the latency it will be there when you're checking out the profiles. So to overcome this, companies use something called as sharding. Sharding is partitioning of data into say equal halves, or it may not be equal. Sharding can be done on the basis of ID or on the basis of location. Say for again the take example of Tinder. This storage server is kept in Australia, just an example, and you are looking for persons in India. So there's no point of Tinder to keep the profiles of users of India in Australia. So what they can do, they can divide or shard the database. So let's say shard A is in India, shard B in Pakistan, C in China, and D in Australia. So all the users who are registered in India, so their profile will be stored in shard A, and similarly for Pakistan, China, and Australia. So it reduces the latency by a great extent, right? This is called sharding. Let's move on to distributed databases. So this is the current scenario what we use. There is a centralized server, and these are all the nodes connected. And what we want is this, where each node has their own data. It's not only they can store the data of other participants, but they are the owner of their own data, right? So the rise of distributed storages. Swarm is a censorship-resistant, permissionless, distributed storage and communication infrastructure. What is censorship-resistant? It implies that everyone on the network can transact on the same terms, regardless of their identity. So it doesn't matter who they are. Any person, doesn't matter what their post is in reality, they all will be treated equally. Permissionless, you don't need any permission to join, and it is distributed. As I told, this is distributed, where each person has the data, has the right to hold that data. The data can be theirs as well as others, and they wish to store the data. Like it's their intent that they want to store the data, and there is no centralized party, hence no single point of failure as well. So you might have heard of IPFS, and most of you might be using BitTorrent. It is similar, right? So the thing with IPFS is it allows you to register and share the content you host on your server. By that I mean, say you want to upload a Netflix episode of Dark Season 1. So whatever you upload, it stays on your computer, right? And this is the same case with BitTorrent. So whatever you upload, it stays on your computer. And say I want to access that. I want to access that file or download that file. So I will have to search your computer in the nodes, in the list of all the nodes, and then download that data from that node. So this is how IPFS or BitTorrent work. But this is not the case with Swarm. In Swarm, Swarm provides the hosting itself as a decentralized cloud storage server. It means that you can store the data in someone else's storage. So you don't need to be active all the time for some third person to download the data from your server, because that data isn't on your server. And when you upload that file onto some other computer, some random node, uh, that node, the data is replicated between multiple nodes, so that even if one of the nodes is down, the other nodes are active and the people are able to download the data. I hope I'm clear with this. And so with Swarm, basically we can say you can upload and disappear. It is as simple as that. So how does Swarm work? It has three crucial notions. One is chunks. So chunks are pieces of data of limited size, max 4 KB, the basic unit of storage and retrieval in Swarm. So whatever file you upload, say, let's say it is 1 megabyte. So it is divided into chunks of 4 kilobytes, right? And it can't, each chunk can't be greater than 4 kilobyte. It is divided into chunks of 4 kilobyte. And when you retrieve that file, it is then combined and you get a single file. So this reference, when you upload a file, you get a QID, the hash of the content you uploaded. So that QID is the reference ID of the file which you uploaded. So whenever you want to access that file, you need to have that reference with you. Otherwise, you have lost that file if you don't have it as a backup in your computer. So that reference is the QID. It is called QID in Swarm. It is the yeah. So what is manifest? Say when a file is broken into multiple smaller partitions, there has to be a table, right? So which stores like, okay, if I uploaded a 12 kilobyte of 12 KB file, it is partitioned into three chunks, 4 KB each. So these chunks are supposed to be kept together into a file that whenever a person requests, it can be combined and served as a reference to the user. So take example of this. There is a user who is uploading a file, whatever size of the file maybe it is then divided into these smaller chunks, and this is the reference table, manifest table. And when you access that file, you get a reference number. We will be demonstrating it soon later. So the nodes constituting the Swarm all dedicate resources, disk space, memory, bandwidth, and CPU to store and serve chunks. Like whenever if you wish to join Swarm, there will be someone who uploads some data, and there's a possibility that data is stored into your computer, right? So who stores the chunks? Swarm nodes have addresses which are stored in the same key space as the chunks themselves. So whenever you, by that I mean, whenever you join Swarm, there is a table which shows that okay, this node has joined Swarm, and there is a possibility that I have this option. Swarm software has this option that they can upload a file on this node as well. So if we upload a chunk to Swarm, the protocol determines that it will be eventually end up being stored at nodes that are closest to the uploader. So for example, if I currently am in Lucknow and I want to upload a file, say the closest person who is on active on Swarm at that time is in Gorakhpur, and the other active persons are in Bangalore. So Gorakhpur is certainly nearer to my place. So all the data which I upload will be stored in the Gorakhpur server or the Gorakhpur node, whoever is active at that time. And Swarm uses a protocol. The name of that protocol is BZZ. So it is a protocol that every nodes follow whenever they want to participate in the Swarm network. So they have to follow this protocol whenever they want to upload or whenever they want to retrieve that file. Okay. As I told, the closest node is where your data will be uploaded. So the process by which chunks get to their addresses is called syncing and is part of protocol, BZZ protocol. So when you upload data, it is called syncing, right? The node is continuously syncing because there is one person or the other who is uploading the data continuously. And there is a table which is shared across all the nodes so that they can get to know, okay, if person say from China wants to access something which is stored in India, so all the table is circulated across all the nodes and they can forward the request. So let's say person A in China forwards his request to person B in China that whether he has that content or not. If he doesn't have, this request will be forwarded and it keeps on forwarding until they reach India. And when they find that the node will point them, okay, that I am the owner of that file. If you want, this is my address and you can retrieve it from here. Nodes that later want to retrieve the content can find it again by forwarding a query to nodes that are close. The contents address, as I told. Indeed, when a node needs a chunk, it simply posts a request to the Swarm with the address of the content. So whenever you upload a file, it gives you an address that is called QID. So if you want to request something, you host you upload the request that okay, I want file with its QID, and this request is forwarded until the file is found, and the swarm will forward the request until the data is found. So swarm is similar to a traditional distributed hash table. The distributed hash table, by this I mean a table which stores the data as well as the hash. So let's try it. Okay, so before that, how many of you have downloaded the dependency which I asked you to install? Get swarm. If you have any doubts, you can unmute. Okay, you can raise and I'll unmute you. Okay, guys, you can raise hand. How many of you have downloaded the dependencies, or you just want to? Okay, I assume that you won't just want to see. Okay, if you have any doubts till now, whatever I explained, I just want to see an experience. Okay, cool. You understood what I told as of now about Swarm, how it works. Okay, cool. And one more thing about Swarm I forgot to tell. Say I am the owner, I uploaded a file somewhere, and you want to retrieve the same file. The QID of that file is forwarded across the nodes, and when you download that file is replicated in your laptop as well, in whatever computer you are using. It is replicated in your computer as well. So the next time when you need it, the request is served faster. Or next time when a person who is near your location needs it, you can serve it faster rather than it coming to me and accessing the same data. So whenever some nodes request a data, the data is replicated on their node as well. So this is called caching. And one more thing, the advantage of this caching is it also removes the burden of original file holder. Say if I am the uploader and I know that I have uploaded a very important file. So because there are other people who have downloaded that file, the copy of that file is in their notes as well. So it reduces the risk of DDoS attacks as well. So I'll show you how it works. These are dependencies which I asked you to install. So to get started, you need to have first of all these dependencies, and if you have installed all the files correctly, you'll get to see something like this. I'll show in my terminal. See, I admit this file means Swarm is properly installed in my laptop. So to get started with Swarm, we need to have Geth. Geth is the client of Ethereum. So whenever you want to access something on Ethereum, you need to have Geth installed. So because Swarm is by Ethereum, so they are linked. So you need an Ethereum account to get started with Swarm. So let's say I'm creating a new account. I will set some random password, and this is my public address. To get started, you see, we have this command minus VZZ account. VZZ is the protocol which Swarm follows, as I told earlier. So I can copy this command, and here I can paste my address. Oh, sorry. I enter the same password to unlock my account, and you see I have joined SWAM now. So we need an additional terminal to query the data, whatever we retrieve from here. So we'll open a new terminal, and in that we have to attach this. See, I'm attached. So if I want to see what all peers are there near me and who are connected to SOAM currently. So these, you see, these are all the list of peers. The command for that, to search this is admin dot peers, and you get to see all the peers who are nearby you and who are connected to SOAM network. You can see there are a lot of peers currently active. So if I upload a file, uh, let's say open a new terminal, I have a file tempo.js. I have it. I have one file here. I type swam. I'll go to my directory. Swam up in the file name. Sorry. So you see this, the Swarm server is continuously searching nodes. This is called syncing. Whatever data is getting uploaded on Swarm, it is trying to create the table out of it that, okay, this node is having this data. So whenever someone requests, and if that request comes to my node, it can forward it to appropriate node. Okay. So I uploaded this file called tempo.js and I got this ID. So this is what is called the QID. So if I want to retrieve this file, I'll copy the ID, and there is a public gateway also available of Swarm. And there's one important thing about Swarm, it doesn't guarantee whatever data you upload will be there. So the data is replicated only when some other node requests it, right? So for example, if I upload a data and there is no one who requested that file, it is there only on the node on which it got uploaded. It is not on any other node, right? So it is not replicated and there is single point of failure. So Swarm clearly mentions that there is no guarantee. It is still in development phase. There is no guarantee that whatever data you upload is going to be there. Just a second. Okay. So if I paste the hash which I copied earlier and press enter, see, this is the content of the file. If you match the content with there, it's the same content. So this is how Swarm works. And this is a centralized, not, I won't call it centralized, this is the public server. So whatever file you upload, and you get the hash or the QID, you can enter the QID here and retrieve that file. You can also do that from here. So you simply have to type Swarm. Here you paste it, Swarm up in the file name. Here you can do Swarm down and the QID. Yeah, Alicia, tell. I guess that was a mistake. You have some question? I'm unable to unmute Hack Club.
Yeah, Abhishek, there's like people who ask a few questions in the chat, like kind of like answer them.
Okay, okay. Just a second. Okay, Aryan asked, but let's assume the node on which file saved is no more available. So is the data lost or the data is saved at more than one node? Okay, as I said, whenever you upload a file, it goes to some random node, right? Or random, I'll say the node nearest to your node. So if there is some other node who access that data, the same data is replicated in the other node as well. And if there is no one, the file is there only on that single node, and if that node is down, your data is lost. So you need to have, that's why I said you can't trust Swarm completely, and the Swarm developers and the Swarm Ethereum community says that by themselves. So you can't rely completely on Swarm because the data is not that safe. It's secure. No one can access it because no one knows on which node that file got uploaded. But still, can anyone access the file that I have uploaded as long as they have the ID? Yes. So you only need to have that ID, right, to download that data. As I showed in the public gateway also, you enter the QID and you can download whatever data was there, or whatever the content was there of that file. So it is as easy as that. Any more questions? Okay, I will continue. So let's come to the application which I built. Okay, let's see. So ignore the UI. I'm just showing you a video of whatever I recorded there. It starts with the registration form, simple registration form. Ignore the UI. You enter some basic details. Okay, so whatever data I entered as of now, you can see the content. I uploaded my name, address, city, state.
Guys, I think Abhishek had some connection issues. Like, give us a minute. We'll get like he'll join back.
Guys, I think Abhishek is still struggling with the network issues. Is rejoining.
Guys, and one more thing, all of this material will be uploaded to our like workshop repos, so you can check them out even like if you didn't understand anything right now. You can reread them to like understand them better.
We are also recording the session, so we'll try to upload it somewhere, like maybe on YouTube channel or somewhere. Okay, guys. Till Abhishek rejoins the chat, I would like to. I think you guys have, got to know about all these recent developments that we are doing with the Hack Club. Even today, I sent a couple of messages regarding summer of hacking and that kind of thing. So I'll give a brief review about summer of hacking. So maybe only the first and second year guys will be able to get benefit out of this because it has a late age restriction from 13 to 18. So what Summer of Hacking is it is like it's a hack club event which is sponsored by GitHub and Adafruit. So they are giving around 50,000 USD dollars of hack club grants. So what we have shared the form over Discord, over Discord and Instagram and everywhere almost. So what you can do is like you can go to the link, you can submit your project, whatever the hardware parts you require for the project, they will gonna buy it for you and get it to you. And you have to give a detailed overview of your project. It's not like just telling your idea. It's like you have to show some, like you have done some work. Okay, this product, whatever the hardware you are asking, there is a legitimate need for that hardware. Okay, that you can give schematic diagrams, you can give some code base or like some starting workflow diagrams or something like that, so that it can just first the idea should be really good and it should be really unique, and second, like it should make sense. Okay, this hardware, you require this hardware. So they are like, it's a great opportunity. You guys can even have the hardwares which you generally can't have because of the hardwares can be very expensive and all. So do try that. And second, they are also giving free stickers. So even that link I have posted, so everyone just, you have to put your address and everyone can get Hack Club stickers. We have plenty for you once this COVID-19 thing gets over, but still it's good to have some at your home. So that's the thing. uh, yeah, and one more update is like we are as you all know, we are recruiting core team members. Core members, we are expanding our core team. So we have there's a form, live form there. So the form we're gonna end on 4th July. Then we're gonna sort out, and then we'll have some little interview formality and that kind of thing, and we'll get the members on board. So yeah, do fill it up if you think you can be the part of core and you can do something productive towards the community and towards our hack club. Okay, I think Abhishek has joined. Abhishek, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry for the
Yeah. Okay.
interruption.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, continue. I think there's one or two questions. If you can just address those questions
Okay,
first.
okay, just a second.
Yeah.
Okay, my chat is clear. So can someone read out the questions?
Okay. So one of the question is from VV Sri Harsha. It's like, can you tell what is the main advantage of Swamp and where it will be useful?
Okay, so I will show you my application, how I use Swarm. So it will give you some idea how you can use that in your project and how it is advantageous. One of the
And
advantages that I told is it
yeah.
doesn't have any single point of failure. The data is distributed. You are the owner of your data, and the power comes back in the hands of people. Is there another question?
No, no, no. You can continue.
Okay.
Guys, if you have any question, just write it down in the group chat. Okay.
Okay, so I'll restart. So this is the video of my application. This is the basic details I am entering as in my registration form. Contact number, Aadhaar number, and my email. So as I click next, whatever data I entered as of now is first encrypted and then uploaded to Swarm. So I use symmetric encryption here. By symmetric encryption, I mean I use the same key for encryption as well as decryption. So that key is embedded into my code. So before that data is uploaded, it is encrypted in, into JSON. It is first organized into a JSON format, encrypted, and then uploaded to Swarm. So from that I get a QID, right? As I showed you earlier. That QID, I put that into my smart contract, which is mapped to this user who is registering now. So I click on next. all the data got uploaded to Swarm now. So this is for the first users registering for the first time. So as you might be knowing, for interacting with a blockchain, you need a wallet. So this project was built on Tezos blockchain, and in Tezos blockchain, this is the name of the wallet, which I use. It is called Tezbris. So when you create a request, you get a confirmation that the wallet asks you whether it is you who has made that request, and it asks for a confirmation. And only when you confirm that, the transaction is made. So you enter the password. This here. So this is the request which came from my DM, and I approved the request. And the page reloaded, and I got into a login page. So the image on the left is random. Again, please ignore the UI. So when you notice something here, when you click on sign in, it again opens the TestBase signer. See, so what it does here, it checks whether this user registered himself or herself into the smart contract or not. Because whatever data, as I told, is uploaded, it is mapped to the QID. So it checks whether you are already registered or not. If you are, takes you to the bookings page. So there is no booking as of now because I registered for the first time and I have not made any booking. So I go to make booking. I choose a location from to, I choose a date. So I was not getting any proper API for a proper free API for airline. So I just showed a temporary piece of data here and transact. So what happens here is, since you are a user, you have your address, you have a public address which is visible to everyone and which maps to you that you are the owner of this address. Similarly, all the airlines who are on this who uses this platform and who have registered on this platform, they also have some address. So when user makes the booking, when the user clicks on transact, so the user ID, sorry, the address of the airline is attached to a folder. I'll show you an example here. So I'll increase the font size. So in my smart contract, I have this variable called allowed, which is a list. So the user can have multiple bookings, right? Say he made a booking on 1st of July from one place A to place B. Then he made a booking from on 5th of July from place B to C, and similarly he can have multiple bookings, right? So and airlines have addresses since they are registered on our platform. So when the user clicks on transact, the airline's address is added to this allowed list. So address one of airline, and if he has other airline bookings also, similarly all the addresses will be added here. Okay, you got the concept. So when I click on transact, it again initiates a blockchain transaction because this allowed variable is in my smart contract and the address of airline is going to the smart contract. See, I got a request here. I'll click on approve and the booking is made. So this comes into my booking section. This was the user side. Now if I go to the airline, this is the airline's page. Because I have made the booking, airline can also see that, okay, this passenger has made a booking with us. So they have passenger's address visible, passenger's name, from, to, date and time. So if they want to contact the passenger, they have two options of messaging or calling. So if the airline wants to message the passenger, we click on message, type a message here. Okay. So what happens here is, as the airline clicks on send button, so it goes to the smart contracts and checks whether that person has allowed this airline to access the data or not. In other words, it will check in this allowed list of the passenger whether, let's say the airline we are currently talking about is airline 1 who has address 1. So it will check whether this address 1 is present in the allowed list or not. Since it is present, it has it got the access to the QID of the passenger. Otherwise, it wouldn't have got access. Since it got access to the QID, it can retrieve data from Swarm. The data is retrieved from Swarm. It is decrypted using the same key, and then it is again converted right into a JSON format. So in JSON format, I got the phone number of the passenger, right? So when he clicks on send, the message is sent and the page reloads. Let's take the other scenario when the airline doesn't have access to the data and it tries. Uh, the first scenario is if the airline doesn't have access, if the passenger has not made the booking, the airline can't get the data of passenger that okay, this passenger has made a booking. Somehow, if say the worst case scenario, the database is hacked and the airline got access to the booking and it tries to contact the passenger, what happens then? This airline doesn't have access and they're trying to contact the passenger. And the page says you don't have access to this data. Say the airline who was trying to contact was airline with address 4. And this address 4 is not present in this allowed list, right? So they can't access this data. So they don't have access to the QID of the passenger and they can't access the data. So you got this error, you don't have access. So this was my project. As you see, whatever data the passenger uploaded, his personal data, no one can see it, neither the platform, the booking platform, nor the airline. And whenever airline wants to contact, it can contact. It retrieved the data from the background and sent a message to the passenger without showing any, any personal information. Now, if you go back to the user's page, user has the right to you know, uh, raise the consent. They have the option to, if the user someone wants to cancel the booking, they can raise the consent. So again, it initiates a blockchain transaction. Why? Because the address has to be removed from the allowed list, right? It again initiates a blockchain transaction, and when the transaction takes place, this address one is removed. So when address one again tries to access the data, it won't have access. And if okay, the user deleted the booking and the booking is no more present here. So this was my project and you see how securely it retrieved the data and contacted the passenger. So this is where you can use Swarm. There are other decentralized storages similar to Swarm as I talked about earlier, IPFS, BitTorrent, and there is one called Filecoin. So the important thing about Filecoin is when in Swarm when you upload your data, it goes on some other node, right? And that other node gets nothing with respect to that data. This problem was solved by Filecoin. So when you upload some data, the holder of that data, say person A uploaded a data and it got stored in my laptop. I currently hold that data. So whenever someone requests that data, I will be paid for it because I am the owner of that. I'm not the owner, but I am the holder of that data. So I will be paid for holding that data. So this is the problem which was solved by Filecoin. In one of my future sessions, I will cover Filecoin. This was my project. If you have any doubt, you can ask.
Abhishek, I have few doubts, like if you would like to clear it. So yeah, what is the motivation of this project? Like, why do you think that privacy is such an issue in case of airlines? Am I audible?
Was I clear enough to everyone?
Hello, Abhishek, am I audible to you?
Whoever asked where I can use Swarm and how is it useful, I hope you got some reference with this.
Hello, am I audible,
Okay,
Abhishek?
then. Okay, the next session will be by Yash. He will guide you about hackathons one-on-one.
Hello.
Okay, Yash, you are the host now.
Uh,
Yeah, Abhishek bhaiya, I
yes,
think
can you?
Anurag bhaiya had some questions.
I think Abhishek can't hear me. I don't know why.
Uh,
Abhishek, can you
all
hear
right.
me? I think he has some serious network issue. Okay.
Yeah, okay. So we'll be starting our next session. So the next session will be primer on hackathons. This will be done by Yash, who is a like second year from IS. So I'll take it away, Yash.
All right, cool. So, is my screen visible? Uh,
Yash, can you just unmute Abhishek once?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he's
Can you hear
unmute.
me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we are tell.
Yeah. So actually, what I was asking, like, I think it will get a better idea for everyone. It's like, why do you think like this system is a mandatory? Like the privacy is a major concern just within the airline system. Like, why you choose to create this project?
It is not specific to airline. Like I had to build project with something. So privacy concerns are everywhere, whether it be hotel booking, airline booking, train booking. They are everywhere. So if you
Okay.
might heard of one incident, it happened around 1.5 years ago with IRCTC. There was a passenger who made a booking with IRCTC and he ordered himself a meal free of cost. Then he notified it. He tweeted about it to the IRCTC channel that okay, I made there's this flaw in the system. I can retrieve anyone's data. I made a booking free of the I uh, booked the food for me free of cost, and still you are giving a shit about it. So these flaws are everywhere. If you look at these stats, just a second. If I share my screen,
So technically, you are saying like this system is kind of scalable to each and every domain.
it is scalable to each and every domain. Like whatever booking platform you want to build, you
Uh,
can use this.
and one more thing, like you're talking about transactions, right? So like how much cost does it involve? If you are talking about the real life scenario, real life scalability of this solution.
See, if you are making a booking which is worth around 3K, 4K, 5K, the transaction
Okay.
cost is 5 rupees. So 5 rupees is negligible compared to your privacy. And this rupee can
Mhm.
vary from, there's something called as gas fee. So if you increase the gas fee, the advantage you will get is your transaction will get mined faster. Like it will be reflected into the blockchain faster. And if you
So
reduce the block,
it's just like how more the gas you pay, the faster your transaction will be.
the faster the transaction will get.
Yeah.
So if you
Okay.
keep it to
Okay.
minimal, like average, it will cost you at max of 5 to 6 rupees, and that is negligible
So
in
even
front
like
of
if the
privacy.
government wants to put out the initiative of the privacy, government can also bear the this kind of
Certainly,
thing within the tax.
certainly.
Okay. Okay. Nice project, Abhishek. Any of you guys have any question? Like then we're gonna move to the next session in the group chat. If you can just
You can unmute yourself also right now, but not every
yeah
like
you can
one person at once.
yeah if anyone wants to just say
Yeah.
something. I guess no.
Finally, you can start and get building your project. Now, one more important aspect that I want to emphasize upon is your documentation. Your documentation, as I again told, is going to be of huge, immense importance. So just to make sure that you have good documentation, you can follow these tips. So use proper grammar and English. So that's something that's a given for any formal documentation that you have to do. Then try to include flowcharts or workflow diagrams in your project, so that basically makes it a lot more digestible for the evaluators to evaluate your documentation, because they have to go hundreds and hundreds of slides in a very short time, right? And they have to evaluate it. So if you do something like that, that grabs their attention and it makes the information more digestible rather than just putting a blob of text. And you can even include screenshots of your product UI. Then lastly, in your documentation, one thing that you can include is how your end product will benefit from your stakeholders. So one thing that you can do is you can make a table. You can list all the stakeholders or the users who will be using your end product and how they'll benefit from your end product. So you can basically illustrate those benefits to encapsulate your whole project very nicely in your documentation. So yeah, that's for the prelims round. Coming to that, now we are to the tips for the hackathon finale. So again, it's not an exhaustive list. It's just a number of tips that you can follow to gain an edge over your competition. But there are a number of variables that come into hackathon, like the type of judge you'll face or the type of competition that you'll get. So there's nothing of surety that you can say. But these tips will certainly provide you a head start. So finales are usually about making changes, tweaks, and building stuff from the ground up. But the catch is you have to do it on the spot. So the first tip that I'll give to you is to interact with mentors a lot, as much as you can. Because see, these mentors will usually be employees of the organization that's hosting the hackathon. If it's an MNC based hackathon, so you can gain some real insights from them and implement those changes in your project based on those suggestions. And yeah, a pro tip here would be that most mentors will actually play a role in judging your project, because they'll be spending the most time around your project, even more than the main judging committee that will be judging you in the final round. So be sure that you are prepared before you approach a mentor. You have a basic project ready and you have a basic pitch ready, so that you can clearly explain them what your project is about. Most mentors are very friendly and they'll help you a lot and they'll give you good suggestions that you can implement in your project. So there's nothing to worry about. So another thing is you can have an action plan ready before the hackathon. So you can distribute your responsibilities to each of your participants, so you don't waste time during the hackathon discussing what everyone is supposed to do. So obviously those responsibilities will shift as the hackathon progresses, but in the initial moments of the hackathon, it is always good to go prepared. So you can distribute what everyone is going to work on, and you can even keep maybe certain milestones at which point of time you want to complete this certain part of the project. Now, when you are under time restrictions, completing each and every feature to its full potential is really difficult. Even mentors know that, and as well as judges know that. So you don't have to strive for perfection over here, rather strive for completion. So what I would suggest to you here is, how you are going to pitch your project. You know how you are going to present it to the jury. So just implement the feature so that it complements your presentation. You don't have to implement it to its full perfection. You don't have to make a production ready application in the hackathon. You just have to create a minimum viable product that gives an idea of what's the impact that your project can have, what's its functionality, basically a proof of concept. So tip 4 is rather obvious, that you have to practice your pitch before you go for the judging rounds. So practicing your pitch actually helps elevate your confidence during when you are on stage. So you won't jumble for words, or you won't look around for words. You won't get stuck. So this helps you to be prepared and make a good impression on the jury. Lastly, one of the most important tips is to identify your audience type. So here by audience, I mean your mentors and your judges. So as I discussed earlier, most MNC based hackathons, the mentors and the jury are actually employees or executives in that company, and they are usually more leaning towards the business side of the things. So you have to make your presentation more business sound. So telling them about your algorithms or your tech stack won't be of much use. Rather, you should focus more on your business plan. So what exactly constitutes of your business plan is, say, you can include a project timeline of how you are going to achieve each and every role, basically how you are going to realize the potential of your project in if you are funded or if you are incubated. So you can do that. You can give a budget estimation. What is the amount of estimate budget that is required to develop your project? You can even maybe include a business model. So you can read about business models on the internet. There are many guides as to how you can create a business model, but it's usually a good thing to have a business plan ready, even if you have tech-centered audience. So now we'll start with few resources that I have kept over here. So I'll start with this one. So this is just a GitHub repository that I forked from Brad Traversy. I think he's pretty famous among web developers. So it's just a design resource. So like if you're very bad with UI or front end like me, you can basically use these guides to help you out. So there are HTML, CSS templates you can use. There are fonts, colors, icons, color themes, all sorts of things that you can use. I've even shortlisted few of them. So say suppose your project needs to use an admin dashboard. So here you have shards dashboard. So it's a template. It's a really good template that you can use in your project. So it will give you a head start when you start developing your project. So you can use it, and yeah, it will help you a lot. Then we have Undraw. So Undraw is basically for you can use in your documentation or your projects. So it's basically to make a more cleaner UI. You can see it has different illustrations for different purposes that you can use. Then you have Flaticon, so you can search for any keyword. Like I search for idea, and it will give you very high resolution icons for each of those terms. So that was just all about UI. Now we'll come to more about backend. So when it comes to backend and in hackathons, I usually go with Firebase. That is my personal preference. And I've seen a lot of seniors and a lot of other participants go with Firebase. And there's a reason for that. And that's because it makes a backend very easy to use. So it removes a lot of hassle that comes with developing a backend when it comes to developing a full stack solution. So you can use the real-time database to sync up your data in real time, or Cloud Firestore. You can host your websites over there. And even if you want to include the authentication service in your mobile or web app, you can use Firebase Authenticate. So it helps you to quickly enable Google login, OTP login, and stuff like that, which allows users to log into your platform using different services. Then this is a pretty common thing. This is the Google Maps API. I think almost all of you know about this, but if you don't, it's just something that you can use, and it helps you to basically create lots of awesome stuff. So if you are trying to create a geofencing based application, you can use Google Maps to basically create that. You can even create heat maps. So for creating heat maps, there is a JavaScript library called heatmap.js. So on heatmap.js, you can use it with either Google Maps or Leaflet, which is another open source map template that you can use. And you can basically show analytics or concentration of different things in the form of heat maps. So it's a really nice thing. Then if you want to create a payment gateway, you can either use Razorpay's API, which I have heard is very good, or you can use the Stripe API, which is again something that you can look into. So all of these APIs have really, really good documentation. If you just go through them, spend I think 1 or 2 days should be fine. You'll be able to implement them in your project. Then if you want to include analytics into your project, say suppose the dashboard that I showed, you want to include different charts in it. My go-to charting library is chart.js, because it's really easy to implement, and it's it's a really clean it's a really clean charting library. So you can disable data sets over here. Right now they just named it into colors, but you get the idea how you can enable and disable data sets. You can visualize data more nicely. You have all sorts of charting templates over here that you can use. So again, it's a really nice thing if you're working on a project that is focused on analytics. You can also use d3.js. It is pretty popular among data scientists. So if your project is very data science heavy or requires a lot of analytics, then you can use d3.js to show those complicated analytics. Then for if you want to do something related to cloud vision, you can use the Google Vision API. There's lot of actually there are lots of APIs that you can use just within Google Cloud, but one of them that I really like is the Vision API. It allows you to perform emotion analysis on images. It allows you to detect what kind of images, and it also allows you to perform optical character recognition. So I just uploaded here my like MSc3 notes, and you can see that it tells me that it is a text document. It tells me and it gives a confidence percentage for that. And as well, you can see it performs OCR by as it annotizes those text blocks. So all these things can be gained in the form of JSON responses. So again, if you spend a few days learning it, it's very easy to grab and catch and implement it into your project. So yeah, lastly, there's this news API. If you're trying to do something related to news or social media, you can use this. So it's an international API which fetches news information or news headlines or articles from reliable news sources every 24 hours. So you can use it. So those are some of the resources. I'll definitely share these links with you and many more resources that you guys can check out. And yeah, coming back to resources, myths are, I think, Sagar, can you tell me, do we have enough time to cover myths? If we have, I'll start with this. If not,
Yeah, I think
we will go.
it's fine. You can like extend it like another 10-15 minutes.
All right, cool. So I just wanted to cover few myths. We have already covered few of them in the seminar in the previous slides, but in these myths, basically these are questions that people usually ask. So I just wanted to address them. So most beginners have asked that I don't know about this specific technology. Can I still participate in hackathons? So again, that's a big yes from my side, because again, I'm a huge advocate when it comes to project based learning. And so even if you don't know much about that technology, you can just learn the basics and still go to that hackathon and try to learn stuff on the spot and implement it. So like there are lots of advantages, because at the end of the day, when you even if you end up creating a even if you don't end up winning, you'll have a project in your hands that you can even include in your CV, right? So yeah, there's no need to fret from participating in hackathons. Almost all organizers welcome beginners, so you can go ahead and participate in them. Just make sure to register early, because late registrations, the organizers don't usually consider beginners. So just make sure to participate as early as possible. So the second myth is, how do you come up with an idea? So we have already talked about my approach for coming up with an idea, and it's just the same thing that you can follow. So again, you can have a basic so you can pick up a problem statement that piques your interest. You can create a basic working prototype with your current level of knowledge, and you can search the parts that you are confused about. So you can do all that stuff. Again, I think I have covered this. Then last, yes, finally, a lot of people say that they can't find enough technically well-versed teammates. So that's the problem that I hear a lot about. And to be honest, when I started with my first hackathon, I didn't actually have a lot of technically well-versed people in my team, but we together developed those skill sets and nurtured them. So, and we ended up actually winning that hackathon. So again, your teammate doesn't have to be an expert techie. They just need to add something unique that your team is missing out on. So your potential teammate could be a designer to help you with UI UX, a business analyst to help build a sustainable business model for your idea, or a really great orator who can pitch your ideas to the crowd effectively during presentations. So yeah, here again, self-reflection comes into play. You have to realize what are your weak spots, what is your team's weak spot, and how can you fill those deficiencies up. So again, I like to encapsulate everything that we have discussed up till now in just 4 words. Basically, basically to summarize everything. So hackathons are all about coding. Yes, they are coding. There are non-technical hackathons, but it's all about coding and learning stuff and networking with awesome individuals that you can find in these platforms. And again, lastly, don't forget to enjoy these events, because if you take it as a competition, it can take a toll on you. So yeah, again, so I'm open for any questions. If there are any questions, let me know. If you have any questions regarding the seminar, if you have any questions regarding hackathons or tech in general, our whole I think many of our team members from Hack Club are here, so we can help answering those questions.
Great,
Yeah,
great
okay,
presentation.
so
Yeah, Yash. First of all, yeah, carry on.
yeah, so I see a question saying, is GMAP API free? So yeah, that's the thing about GMAP, that it's not free. So I think you can easily earn credits from Google credits if you go to few hackathons. Few good hackathons, they offer you Google credits, or there are few like small competitions of some sort that even if you participate, you can easily earn $100 worth of Google credits. I currently have $300 credit, so it's not easy, so it's not
Actually,
like
yeah,
hard to.
yeah, I would like to actually there's you can get the free credits like once you put your credit card or debit card, like whatever international debit card you put on the Gmail and Google Cloud account, you get some certain $250 or $300 credits free in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
starting. And secondly, what you can do is like you can apply for there's this Google Actions. Have you heard of like Google Actions community?
yeah,
In
yeah,
which
yeah.
you
So
create SDKs for Google Actions. So if you just create one simple application for Google, a simple Google action, you don't like just using Dialogflow or something, you can get around I think $1,200 of credit, or I think 2,400 to $200 each every month.
y-
Yeah, so it's
yeah,
kind of
but
considered free to an extent.
yeah, but I think Anurag Bhaiya, they closed the Google Action reward program, I think
The
few months
the
back.
community program, I have to check on that. Like it might have closed, but in the starting, if you put your if you verify your card, you'll get some certain amount of
Yeah,
200
yeah,
to
yeah,
300
that's
credits,
yeah, that's for sure, that's for sure.
and it
And
will
even
be
if you do,
pretty much enough for whatever kind of development or testing you guys are doing. It's like million
and like
requests and all, something like that.
And like even if you don't want to use Google Maps, there are other alternatives that you can use. So I have also used leaflet.js. I'll just type in the name over here. So it's actually an open source map template that you can use. So again, it provides almost the same functionality as Maps. And if you don't want to put in your credit card information, or you're worried about that, you can check it out. So yeah,
Uh,
next.
yeah, Yash, can you put that in the resource file in the GitHub?
Yeah,
Like
I'll
when
definitely.
you,
Sorry,
yeah,
I think
sure.
I
So
have.
Oh yeah, and so Sri Harsha asked like which website provides free domains. There are quite a few, but what is that thing called? Nom Nom or something, right? What is that thing? I forgot. There's
okay, so
Namecheap.
what you
Probably
can do?
No,
So
Namecheap.
yeah,
no,
so
Namecheap doesn't give it free.
no, okay, wait. So Harsha, what you can do is like right now, you must have opted for the GitHub Education Pack. So the easiest way to do is like you can go to the Namecheap account and have a free domain of .me domain from Namecheap. That's the like safe easiest way to do it. Other tricky ways, Sagar will be able to help you out.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
Sagar.
called Free Nom. I'll put it in the chat. Yeah, I forgot about this.
Okay, all these resources will actually try to put everything on our the what GitHub organization that we have. We created a workshop called repo in that, so we'll try to put all the resources over there. Yeah, including this freenom.com. Sagar, could you please put it over there
yeah,
as well?
so 000 Webhost does provide free hosting, and even you can use Firebase for free hosting services if you want. So you can check these resources out. Again,
I
we'll
would
compile
suggest
this.
you guys should look for Zeet. Like Zeet, I'm not sure it's .co or .zeet. Okay, I'll put it in the again in the repo. It's kind of very easy. It's like just a single line to deploy your code. It's like same function. It's like same easiness as Hadoop or Netlify. 00 web host, I personally feel it's kind of sometime shady.
Okay, so Aniruddha has asked that does sponsors play a part in judging? So again, that depends. If that like in our hackbot, there were bounties. A lot of hackathons have bounties. So in these bounty-based hackathons, if you're like working towards a bounty, you have like the sponsors play a part in judging as well. So they'll basically come to you and judge your project and see how well you have either implemented their API or how well you have consume their services. So yeah, they do check it out, but I think for the most part it happens only when in case of bounties. All right, so any other questions, feel free to ask.
I think you can also unmute and ask.
Yeah.
You don't have to type. Okay, I guess no. So thanks, Yash. It was an amazing presentation, man. And yeah, the joke of
Thanks.
the day, like you said, you are not good with UI. Okay, I'll do it. I'll take it as a joke. Okay, this guy is amazing with UI. Okay, so yeah, don't fall for that. Okay, so I have one more information. Like, actually, I just got received a text from the Hack Club HU. So earlier I stated that the hardware grant is only for teenagers, like the users aging like from age from 13 to 18 years. But now they have said like it's for India, for Indian for the Indian Hack Clubs, it's not age restricted. So even a fourth year guy can apply for this Hack Club grant, even like the hardware grant. I might try for it as well. I'm not sure. So like there is a proper format you have to follow. Like I have put it on the Discord, WhatsApp, and Insta everywhere. So you have to when they were going to ask which hack club you belong to. So you have to write complete. I am from Hack Club NMIT, which is in India, and the leader is my name Anurag Singh, and Rajit. The co-leader name is Rajit Kundar. So I've given it in the Discord and WhatsApp and everywhere. So you have to, put a complete format so that your application will be, processed at that side. It's a great opportunity. You might, grab a certain amount of hardware grant. Yeah, I think there's a question.
Yeah. So Aniruddha asked, like, can we use motion graphics instead of documentation in prelims like a video? So yeah, there's always an option to submit a video alongside with your documentation. So your documentation has to be submitted, and usually the documentation is in the format of a PPT. So again, documentation is not something you can get rid of, and video is more like an add-on to just maybe increase your chances by a few percent. And again, like if you want to know like how I prepared this presentation for today, so I used reveal.js. It's a really nice thing, and thanks Sagar for recommending it few months ago. So yeah, I thought I could experiment with it and try it out, and I think it worked good.
Yeah, it worked really well. It was nice. Okay, so guys, any other queries? Uh,
Yeah, even if you like want to ask any of the questions later on, you can throw them on the Discord channel, or
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
you can even text any individually, even text us individually. So there's no problem. You can always reach us out.
And I think the last information from my side, the core application will gonna end on 4th July, and we're gonna start the the segregation part of from that application on 5th or something July, and after that we'll start with the form interviews. So if you guys have not yet filled up the form, do fill up if you're interested.
Yeah, do fill it up. It's a good opportunity, and we really are looking for great members to join our club. So I think we won't be accepting a really huge number of people, but like it will be a tough competition for you, but it will be fun. So do participate.
So guys, any other question, like any last question, or should we wrap up? And actually, we want you to guys to provide feedback. So we are not pushing any form or something. I think you are tired of filling up a lot of forms. You can just share your feedback in our Discord channel, like lobby, or like I think in the lobby you can share the feedback, and so that we can plan more such webinars. And like we are looking for more the sessions like AMA and something like that. Ask me anything for within the industry leaders, so that we can bring some industry leader and you can have a one-to-one interaction with the the industries. So yeah, that's all from our side. Sagar, so should we wrap it up?
Yeah, I think we'll wrap it. If anybody has doubts, then they can ask us on Discord. So
Yeah, you can ask us on Discord. So okay, see you guys on the next session.
yeah, right. Thanks, guys, for coming. See you.
Yeah, thank you.
See you. Thank you.